gross domestic product in the measure. After you got women involved in the profession, they started asking things like, what if that woman working in the home actually went out and sold her services for a wage? And that led people to start thinking that there was a lot more productivity going on in the home than they had previously been aware of. Now that's important not only because it's important for understanding facts about U.S. history, but it's important for understanding lots of societies like Africa, where most of the women are farmers, and most of the farming is subsistence, and where if you don't take into account that contribution, you're missing something about the workings and production of wealth of that economy. We live in a society not only characterized by de facto segregation in education and in housing, but also widespread stereotyping. And the existence of stereotyping and segregation should cast doubt that the perspectives and solutions as defined by those allowed to participate are sensitive to all the relevant information or are responsive in a fair way to everyone's concerns. This is as true of a classroom as it is of a democracy. People from different walks of life have different experiences of public problems, experiences that have evidential import for devising and evaluating solutions. People from different walks of life see different things. When leaders are drawn from a small and closed elite, critical issues can be left out of the decision frame. We may see the problem only from the town person's perspective and not from the abandoned child's. Third, importance of this project is that it underscores the way that the reading of philosophy, literature, and history expands a person's moral imagination. An educated person experiences the world in a different way than an uneducated person. She can ask critical questions of herself and her society, questions of the universe, and then live with those questions. Such a person has more freedom than a person who simply follows others or reacts out of fear and need. Empathy, critical reflection, and knowledge about alternatives open up a person's life and draw her out of isolation and unthinking routine. And so I want to close with a brief story that illustrates the power of new ways of seeing for the privileged and for the disadvantaged alike. The story comes from Desmond Tutu, the hero of one of the heroes of the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa and head of its Truth and Reconciliation Commission. He tells the story of a farmer who raised chickens in his backyard. One of the farmer's chickens looked a bit odd, and although it had always behaved like a chicken, walked like a chicken, and pecked like a chicken, it looked a little strange. One day a wise woman came to the farmer and said, "You know, that isn't a chicken, it's an eagle." The farmer said, "No way." So the woman picked up the bird, climbed to the nearest mountain, and stood at the edge of a precipice. She said to the strange-looking chicken, "You're an eagle. You can soar. You can change the world. Go fly." The chicken looked down and said, "No way." It said, "I don't feel like an eagle. I feel like a chicken. I don't think I can fly." "That's your choice," the wise woman answered softly, "but you're now responsible for the choices you make. If you don't try to fly, you'll never reach the sky. Even if you feel like a chicken, fly like an eagle." "I feel like a butterfly drawn from a cocoon," the woman said. Thank you.
And at the Hope House, we're able to kind of like reap the benefits of everything that you've learned and that different professors and Stanford students have learned through this experience. Like, how was that reflected back to them, and if so, in what ways?
That's a good question. Some of it has been reflected back to them so that We keep in touch with a few of the women who come out of the program. We actually involve them in conversations when we're planning and thinking about the courses. We talk to Karen and give feedback to her. We don't do it in the moment of the course, although in the moment of the course, so giving examples for myself, we'll sometimes say, wow, I never saw that before. And the women are often saying things to us like, are you really teaching the same things you teach at Stanford with us? Is this really true? Is this really what Stanford students read? And are we really doing the kind of stuff that Stanford students do? And we'll say, yes, this is really what they read at Stanford, and you're doing the same thing, and actually you're so doing the same thing that you're opening up new ways for us to think about these works. So that will, in the conversation that will often happen. And it's a pretty, I think, the power, for better or worse, the power of Stanford and the name of Stanford, and the idea of the prestige of Stanford being brought into a non-Stanford community, and people thinking, well, but Stanford isn't for people like us, just the way the woman who overheard the Hope House women talking about the play couldn't believe, right, that they really had known about Aristophanes. These women also sometimes feel like this, Stanford isn't for me. Stanford is for other people. And so we continually wind up engaging with them in a conversation that this is actually for you too. Not that, tomorrow you're going to come to Stanford, but that the kind of thing you're doing, is the kind of thing that Stanford students do. It's the kind of thing that education is about.
For more, please visit us at stanford.edu.